Building Vehicle Services. Morning. So we've got a 2009 Fiat 500. Guess what it's in for? If you said clutch, you'd be absolutely right. It's all a pat on the back. 3-piece clutch kit. So now we've got obviously the battery out. The battery. Got one of the top linkages off here. So that's now out. And we've also done the slave cylinder and the earth strap. So I'll cable tie the slave cylinder off there. You don't have to disconnect any of the pipe work or anything on the slave cylinder itself to leave it all connected. And leave it there out of the way. Same with the wire and loom. I pulled all that up and cable tied it up there out of the way. Doesn't get snagged on anything. That's done. So I'm going to go underneath now and do the other gearbox linkage and then drain the gearbox oil. So on this Fiat 500 gearbox, that big bolt there, that's where we top the gearbox up from. And where are we? That Allen key there is where we drain it. So we're going to take that first, drain it all out, put that back in, and then we're going to undo that, ready for when we top it up when we put it back in. Good tip as well is undo the fill plug first before you undo the drain plug. Because if you undo the drain plug, drain it all out, and then you can't undo the fill plug, you're not going to be able to fill it back up. So do that one first. And then what we do when we refill it, we pour whatever comes out of it back in, and I've got another litre which I'll use as a top up, and I'll pour that in, and what you should do is when it's full up it will overflow and pour back out of here, and that's when we know it's at the right level. That's our gearbox all draining out. Let it drain out for a minute. So while that's the gearbox oil's draining out, we move the bumper bolts at the top and bottom and the side here. So we move this out the way because we need to get this brace bar out down the bottom here. So I've taken this mag goes from there down to there, but this one comes out as well. So there's 3 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, and there's 4 at the front that bolt from the front backwards. And you can see that down there. So right here, 1, 2, 3, camera focus, 1, 2, 3, 4 on that, and then that inner brace bar comes out of the way. You have to loosen the bumper to get to that. And then that's the brace bar out of the way, so there's the 4 bolts going that way that we've taken off, so that's out of the way. So that's all the gearbox oil now drained out, so I'll put the bolt back in. So now we're going to take out these drive shafts. So what I normally do is undo 1, 2 and pull the knuckle forward, tap that through, and I'll get the drive shaft out. So we're going to now do that both sides and get drive shafts out, because no oil is going to piss out the gearbox because we drained it already. That's the main reason we drain it. If you leave the oil in there and take drive shafts out, it usually drains out. And then what will happen is when you lift that gearbox down and you tip it at an angle slightly or move it or whatever, the gearbox oil will drain out and go all over you or all over the floor, and it doesn't look very good. So we're going to do drive shafts now, get them out. So that's one drive shaft popped out the hub. So undo the 1, 2 up there, 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there, and pull the knuckle forward. Make sure you don't yank on these brake lines or the wires, so I unplug them as best I can and unclip them to all slack. So they're not got any tension on them, and then pull that forward and knock the drive shaft in a bit with a hammer, and I do use an old extension bar, tap it through the bearing, come out the other side, pull it through, pull it out, and then we're going to tap something in there and pop it out of the gearbox, take this side out, and that's our drive shaft out for this side. Put that out, it's that way. So drive shaft number 2 out. Now underneath, done is move the gearbox mount from here, sits in there, which is down over there, and then we're going to start undoing all these gearbox bolts ready, and we'll do the top gearbox mount, drop the engine down a bit on the jack, and then slide it off and out. So that's everything done underneath. The jack supporting the engine, so we're going to take the top mount off the gearbox, and that's put the weight. I should have a block of wood there, but I haven't got one at the moment, but that's fine, there's some strong enough to hold it. So that's that, all the bolts are out of my gearbox apart from one at the top. So we're going to do the top mount on the gearbox and the bolt. We should better wiggle that down and get that out now. So that's the gearbox all loose, all unbolted. I'll cable tie that coolant hose out of the way and up. So all the bolts are out of it. Gearbox mount's now off. So we can now wiggle that out and slide it down onto the floor. Down a little bit. That. So gearbox down and out. Now, just noticed something. Went round that way. It was making a noise. It wasn't a lot of noise, but it was making a noise. So if you look at the bearing, what's left of the bearing. So that's what's left of it. There's another bit there. And that is the new one and what it should look like. So the bearing has collapsed. Still, clutch still worked, car still drove. But it was making a noise when you put your foot on the clutch. And that's obviously why, because the bearings all broke up and collapsed. And there's part of it there, look. So there's all the broken bits, there's the new one. So that's our new clutch bearing in the gearbox. There's a new one there on the thing. I've also put a little bit of grease on the shaft there, just where that bearing will slide up and down, just so it moves nice and freely. So that's good. And I'll put a little bit on the spindle there, just so when we slide it on, it go on a bit easier. Clean all the crap out the bottom of the gearbox here, and wipe it over, and that's all done. We're going to do the clutch. Just noticed as well, we've got two teeth missing off the clutch pressure plate. Well, probably the bearings eating into it and worn into it over time, and they're probably ready to snap all them ones. So that's obviously what's happened. The bearings broke. It's probably taken them teeth with it and ground all these out. Saying in my last video about I just said the clutch is worn. Well, basically that looks pretty much like a new clutch. This one that's come out, this one obviously the bearing's knackered, and it's buggered the pressure plate there, and it's worn all these away because the bearing's gone. But the actual clutch itself, look, I've got some little heat build up on there. But if you look at that, see the wear lines there, they're still there compared to the new one. There's our new clutch. If you look, similar depth, and the rivet's depth as well. If you look at them ones, and then look at them ones, still quite a bit of meat left on that clutch, but it comes in a kit of 3 pieces, so while you're there you might as well change it. But yeah, I've still got a little bit of meat left on that clutch. Obviously the bearing's failed and that's why we're changing it. So before I put it in, I'll just show you the pressure plate. So this is pressure plate here. When you put your foot on the clutch, the bearing presses against here and presses this down and in. So if you look at the new one, there's no wear marks there at all. And if you look at them one, they're all worn through where the bearing's eaten through. That's the reason I'm changing it. So that's a new clutch and pressure plate back in, ready to go. What we're doing now is slot the gearbox on in a minute, which is ready to go now. And the job's on. So that is our gearbox back in. Excuse me. Right, so that's our gearbox back in. Gearbox mount back on. I've put a couple of bolts in it for now. We're going to put all the old rest of the bolts back in. So that's all done. And then do the same as what we did, but in reverse. So put it back together now. So there's our gear links is back on down there. One there and one behind it down there. The clip's back on. It's all done. So we're going to do the drive shafts, put them back in.